Okay.
Right.
And we are rolling.
We are here at Mount Shasta, one of the great spiritual centres of the world, said to be the entrance into a whole underground network of caves that are considered to be interdimensional in nature, that mystical beings said to have come from lost Lemuria are believed to exist here, and that occasionally they will rise up and be encountered by people.
Mount Shasta is one of the most sacred places in the world, not only to the modern New Agers who flock here from around the globe on spiritual pilgrimages every year, but also to the Native American tribes who have inhabited this region for thousands of years. They see this place as extremely holy, a place of creation, and some even trace their origin back to a sacred spring on the mountain. Shasta is a super powerful energy vortex and is thought to be an earth chakra, specifically the root chakra of the planet. It's also believed to be at the crossing point of multiple ley lines.
My personal take on the energies of Mount Shasta is that it's on the plumed serpent. So it's on a global energy system of a male and female energy current. And that generates balance. When you have the male and the female together, it is a really good equilibrium for one's consciousness and to get one's own energies in balance.
Mount Shasta is an ancient stratovolcano which is part of the Ring of Fire volcano range that encompasses the Pacific Ocean. It's filled with ancient lava shafts and caverns that act as highways for electrons to follow to the surface, which have been released by geological processes within the Earth. The continuous flow and release of electrons on the mountain ionize the landscape and create powerful geomagnetic fields. These circumstances are very conducive in the production of paranormal activity. Shasta is a mega paranormal hotspot, known for frequent UFO activity, lots of light forms, and lots of mysterious beings. Some people call these beings Lemurians, ascended masters such as Saint Germain, fairies, gnomes. There's also lots of reports of Bigfoot in the area, and the Native Americans speak about this, as well as alleged little people who live in and around the mountain.
These were taken by a man who, Kevin Knutson out of Sacramento. He saw these two gentlemen talking to a stand of trees. They were Peruvian shaman, and they were so animated he couldn't figure out what they were doing. So when he got the picture home and blew it up on his computer, these beings appeared. He did not see them, but they appeared in the picture. So then we took this spot here and blew it up in the heart space, and you can see the lines of energy from the heart space. And then this one's a little blurred, but you can still see the shape of the beings. And this was up at Panther Meadow on Mount Shasta, which is considered probably the most sacred spot on the mountain.
There are many wild stories circulating about Mount Shasta. We find reports of people encountering otherworldly beings and being taken through portals into a city within the mountain. Some accounts were friendly, some were sexual, and some seemed more like abductions. Many extremely mysterious, unsolved disappearances have taken place on the mountain, as well as missing time incidents. Campers have reported waking up in strange locations with puncture wounds on the back of their necks. Many people claim to encounter luminous beings and seemingly sentient orbs within the lava shafts and caves of the mountain. Occult groups have been known to do their rituals within these lava shafts to utilize the energies present and connect with the entities. Psychic phenomena is reported at the mountain regularly, such as the occurrence of synchronicities and the receiving of telepathic communications, sometimes thought to be transmitted from the mountain itself.
In 1930, a mining engineer by the name of Guy Ballard came to these slopes and had a vision of what he believed was an ascended master. The name that was given was Saint Germain, who seems to be based upon the 18th century explorer named Count Saint Germain, who was an adept in the arts and the sciences and was said to have the ability to disappear at one place and appear somewhere else. And there is a powerful belief that Shasta is the centre of these ascended masters, and that people come here to make contact with them. Various New Age centres have been established, various settlements, various channelers have come here, and whole books have been written in the name of Saint Germain. But what is it that inspires these people? What is it that brings them here? That's why we're here at Shasta, to find out. You know, I mean, obviously we've heard about, for instance, Saint Germain being seen on the side of Mount Shasta. That was originally in 1930. You got the stories of the Lemurians here, you know, having come from a sunken continent, and of course stories that within Shasta itself there is some kind of underground city, series of tunnels, networks of caves, beings, tall beings living in them. I mean, do people come in here and try and, you know, verify this or confirm this or read all about it? What's the main interest?
They come in to do all of that. I think they come because they're on a spiritual quest. Then there's so many people that come and they have the vision of Saint Germain appear to them. They had no idea who he was. They come in, they don't know what's happened to them, and so they come in here looking for answers because they've had something happen on the mountain that they can't explain. And that's why a lot of the purple orbs, and you see a lot of purple in Mount Shasta because it represents Saint Germain and the violet flame, and the religions that have come up since the 30s. But I think that people are still waking up and having experiences, and they don't have to have those experiences with him here, because we've met 3 different women that he appeared to them in different places. One was in Malibu, one was in San Bernardino, one was in Colorado Springs. All 3 women told the same exact story, described him the same way, were told by him to come here, and had no idea who it was till after they got here. So, I mean, I can't explain it, but it's happening. And you have people that are seeing tall beings that are 6 to 10 feet tall. Some are blue and some are white. And there's a lot of interaction with those. But these are coming from people that had no idea they were going to have an experience before they got here.
Ascended Master is one of many names people have given to the otherworldly entities of the mountain. Ascended Masters are thought to be higher dimensional, enlightened beings who have evolved past the process of reincarnating as a human. They allegedly appear and communicate to people to help guide them in their spiritual evolution. This idea became very popular in the 1930s when Guy Ballard founded the I Am Spiritual movement after claiming to encounter an ascended master called Saint Germain on Mount Shasta. Saint Germain was not in fact a saint, but the Count of Saint Germain, which was likely a place located in northern Italy. He was very well educated and connected with European royals and sometimes acted as a diplomat. He claimed to be 500 years old and was said to have supernatural powers. He was also a renowned alchemist. He was closely involved with Freemasons, Rosicrucians, and the Knights Templar. There are stories of him showing up long after his death at important historical events to give people advice. And apparently, he's still appearing to people, telling them to go to Mount Shasta or appearing to them on the mountain. According to many people, Saint Germain is strongly associated with the appearance of the violet flame, a violet-colored energy which is said to have transmutation and healing abilities that people have seen and experienced on the mountain. Shasta is situated directly upon several fault lines. Within these fault lines, piezoelectricity is being generated through the pressure placed upon the granite, which we know we have in this region. Beyond that, seismoelectricity is also being generated through the minor tremors which occur regularly. At Bunny Flat, directly above the fault line, my friend's compass did this. I should have gotten more footage of it. Shasta is also full of water. You have cold springs, hot springs, underground rivers, and aquifers. All this water is rushing through the lava shafts and sediment, and the friction that generates triboelectricity. So all of these earth electricities are combining to make Mount Shasta one of the most energetically powerful places in the world.
The stresses and strains within the earth are going to be producing the release of electrons, which will themselves combine with the inherent rocks of the area to produce psychic experiences, spiritual insights within the individual, and maybe even the appearance of apparitions, spirits, and of course light forms in themselves.
Shasta's springs form the headwaters of the Sacramento River. They are thought to have healing properties, and many people travel to collect and drink water from these springs for that reason. The most sacred spring to both Native American tribes and New Agers alike is in Panther Meadow, on the mountain, where people come to meditate, do ceremonies, and leave spiritual offerings. Panther Meadow itself is thought to be one of the most energetically intense hotspots on the mountain. Another powerful hotspot is Ascension Rock. Ascension Rock is a rock formation on Mount Shasta where people go to meditate, and many claim to have spiritual experiences here. Hi, I'm at Ascension Rock. Let's see how the dowsing rods react to this hotspot. And they react as soon as I get within a couple inches of the rock face. Try it again here. Once again, reacting. Okay, so do you see this purple emanation of light next to the rock face? Could this be the violet flame of Mount Shasta, a mystical energy with a violet color? This could very well be a light trick, but I've never had something like this appear in any of my footage, so it definitely stood out to me. I also captured what appears to be an area of rainbow-colored light on the other side of Ascension Rock. So right now, both of these compasses are pointed true north. But watch what happens as I approach the rock face at this super vortex. The hell? What the f? And then when I move away from it, it goes back to true north eventually. Okay, it still hasn't gone back to north. Whoa. And then look, they reorient eventually. It takes them a while. Because true north, the one on the right has gone back to true north. The one on the left is still having trouble figuring it out. Come on, one on the left. Figure your north out. There you go. Okay, now they're both pointing true north. Finally. This spot is super magnetically charged. Oh wow. Oh, this must be granite.
Yeah, it is.
Oh, that makes sense.
Because granite is higher?
It's mainly quartz.
Okay, let's see.
See if you can pick it up. Yeah.
Yeah. But here.
Alleged Lemurians are said to live inside the mountain, who are described as tall, high consciousness beings that wear white or blue robes. The legend goes that they come from the lost civilization of Lemuria, which sunk into the Pacific Ocean in a great cataclysm, and the survivors escaped to Mount Shasta to build a crystalline city called Telos within the mountain, where they still live today. In my opinion, whoever these beings are, they are not from any place called Lemuria. The theory of Lemuria was coined by zoologist Philip Sclater in 1864 to explain why lemurs exist in both India and Madagascar. He proposed a landmass existed in the Indian Ocean connecting the two continents and named this hypothetical landmass Lemuria. In 1870, German biologist Ernst Haeckel suggested this hypothetical continent of Lemuria was where humans originated from. In 1894, Frederick Spencer Oliver, who lived near Mount Shasta, wrote a book called A Dweller on Two Planets, which first connected the mountain with the lost civilization of Lemuria. In 1926, a man named James Churchwood repurposed this lost civilization of Lemuria theory and turned it into the lost continent of Mu, now located in the Pacific Ocean. In 1931, the Rosicrucian Harvey Spencer Lewis wrote Lemuria, the Lost Continent of the Pacific, in which he suggested Mu and Lemuria are the same lost continent, and the remnants of its civilization reside inside Mount Shasta. The story began to snowball further and further as more occult writings came out by various people claiming that these Lemurians are some type of higher dimensional beings living in a higher dimensional city within Mount Shasta. Today, entire religions exist around Lemurians. Many people claim to encounter tall, strange-looking beings which they are calling Lemurians. Ultimately, there is no evidence for any continent called Lemuria sinking in the Pacific Ocean and the survivors migrating to Mount Shasta. It was a story that turned into many more stories, and it is a staple story present in the New Age movement. There very well may be higher dimensional beings within or on Shasta, but it is very unlikely that they are in fact identifiable as Lemurian. So, who are these beings?
This one was taken maybe 3 or 4 years ago during winter. And this one was taken in July of 2018. And on the bottom, it's got like a squiggly X, which is hard to see there, but it's the same craft as what this one was. And we stood in Mount Shasta and watched that one for about 4.5 hours, and it never moved. This one was taken up at Sand Flat. There's a group of people that meet with a being up in Sand Flat, and he communicates with them, gives them messages. They've been coming for probably 30 years, and they asked if they could take a picture of him, and he consented. This one's taken back in the late 70s, and this was a big craft that was right out the back here, up over the antennas, the towers.
So when this actually occurred, do you know what was seen? Because obviously here you got lots of individual
What they were seeing,
objects by the looks of it.
they were seeing a large craft with lights, is what was told to me.
Right.
In this photo I took of the mountain while visiting, this object appeared in the sky directly above Shasta. It isn't present in the photos that I took before or after it. Maybe it's just a bug, but maybe not. People are regularly witnessing structured craft and luminous orbs and various types of light forms. In the skies above the mountain, on the mountain, orbs are seen ejecting from the mountain and shooting into the mountain on a regular basis. There was an account where dozens of people saw a jellyfish-looking creature in the sky hovering above the mountain for hours on end. It was semi-transparent and luminous. It appeared to be a plasma being in its own right. It behaved intelligently, and in my research, it does appear that these plasma creatures are often witnessed in portal locations. For instance, the other day I met someone here in Shasta who saw what looked like a luminous silver snake swimming through the sky above the mountain. This is like the 5th time I've heard this story, but this is the first time I've heard this story here at Shasta. People keep reporting to me that they're seeing luminescent snakes, manta rays, jellyfish, and other strange creatures swimming in the skies, behaving intelligently. Well, these could be energy beings in their own right that are only visible to us when they are in their visible plasma form. Plasma can be invisible as well, so we oftentimes are not going to see these beings who live amongst us. Plasma, being electrical and multidimensional in nature, can act as a medium or conduit for trans-dimensional intelligences to manifest as luminous orbs or apparitions. In theory, it can also act as an environment in which beings from different dimensions can interact within. In these ways, plasma has the ability to work as a portal. Within the Mount Shasta energy vortex are smaller, localized vortices or hotspots, which all feed into that powerful, giant, spinning geomagnetic field which encompasses the mountain. Behind me is one of those hotspots. It's called Ascension Rock, and I'm going to douse the perimeter edge of the vortex. And here we go. As soon as I get to the edge of this vortex. Again. So the rods react every time I hit the edge of the vortex. Earlier, I walked all the way around Ascension Rock and doused for telluric currents or earth currents to see if they were feeding into the vortex, and I found at least 10 of them. So imagine electrical currents running through the ground, all feeding into this giant bubble of energy. I came across many twisted and lightning-struck trees on the mountain. Twisting trees and regular lightning strikes are both symptoms of energy vortex activity. The supreme energy vortex field surrounding the mountain and the lesser fields within it can theoretically create wormholes at their centers through their toroidal spin that can, when both rotations are present at the right amplitude, twist the ether enough to eventually tear open wormholes between dimensions.
The Native Americans themselves did not ever stay on the mountain except for ceremony.
That's right.
And they have certain time of the year that they go up and the mountain is closed so that the Native Americans can do their ceremony up there. And I know that they feel like they got their strength from the spring there at Panther
Meadow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Native American tribes saw this place as sacred many thousands of years ago. A whole range of them saw this place as a place of creation, a place of the dead, a place of the underworld. In fact, so sacred was it that people were not even allowed to go beyond the tree line to reach the peak, because it was said that incredible bad omens would occur and possibly even death. But that's only one story. Others connect it with a sky god, one who inhabited the very peak of the mountain, and that he had this battle or war with the god of the underworld, and eventually this finished in eruptions of the volcanoes in this region. And clearly these are memories of events that were going on here many thousands of years ago. We know that the earliest occupation of Mount Shasta is possibly about 7,000 years ago, but it would seem that from many of the Native American traditions, the original first peoples to arrive here encountered a race that was already a present, and some of those actually described them as giants, which is interesting because giants seem to be the remnant of a previous people, a previous type of archaic human that existed on this continent during the Paleolithic Age and were encountered by the first peoples to come into this region. So it would seem as if this place has been important perhaps for tens of thousands of years.
Upon visiting Mount Shasta in 1904, the British prospector J.C. Brown claimed to discover a cave which led him to an underground city of ancient artifacts made of gold and huge royal-looking mummies of a long-lost race of giants. He later planned an expedition with a team of people to bring back to the cave and retrieve these relics. On the morning of the expedition, he didn't show up and was never seen or heard from again.
There's so many people that are called here. Never been here. Don't know why they're coming, but the call is so strong that they're coming, and they're coming more and more. And they may be here for a few days. They may be here for a month. They may end up going home, selling everything and coming back. But they're coming here for some reason.
And do you think that's the fact that they're attracted to the vortex or the energies of Mount Shasta?
Something. Either that or they predetermined to come here before they came in. I don't know if you believe in that, but I think that's a possibility, because in my case, I was in San Diego. My husband was working, and I was looking at a map to go to Seattle. In my case, the map started flashing, and my husband worked for the defense industry. He comes home that day and says we're supposed to move, and I had already gotten that message. And we got the message Mount Shasta, but we'd never been here, didn't know about it. I was raised Mormon, my husband was raised Catholic. It didn't fit into any of our knowledge at that point in our life. We ended up being here in 48 hours. Had to go home, sell our house, give up our job security, our medical insurance, and come. And then we learned that we had to take everything we had learned to that point in our life and restructure our lives and take a path where there's acceptance to all things.
Right, right.
Mount Shasta appears to be a portal location, at least at certain points in time, and beyond this, it could potentially be its own multidimensional bubble universe. These beings, a lot of them are believed to live around the mountain. Maybe they're just living in that bubble universe, which overlays the mountain, which surrounds the mountain. So if you think about it, the intense geomagnetic field, which is being created by all the earth electricity and is surrounding the mountain, if it had a steady enough flow of electrons, that field could remain stable and contain a whole bubble universe within it on a perpetual basis, in theory. It would also be likely, if this theory is true, that it would be a plasma universe. Plasma is multidimensional in nature, and because of the heavy ionization here, well, plasma is going to be created by heavy ionization, and that explains the plasmoids, the earth lights, the orbs, luminous orbs. Those are earth lights. They were also thought to be fairies back in the day, or will-o'-the-wisp, ghost lights, spook lights, whatever you want to call them. There's a lot of what appears to be plasma beings here, and they could actually be living in this bubble plasma universe. The powerful electromagnetic field surrounding the mountain affects the human brain and nervous system, which are also electromagnetic in nature. The Native American tribes of the area would have used the energies of the mountain during ritual ceremony to access higher states of consciousness in shamanic journeys where they navigated other realms of existence. They believed Shasta to have a spirit of its own. Shasta itself might be a conscious being, or genius loci, which means the spirit of the land. Because humans have been drawn to the mountain and connecting with it for thousands of years, they have entangled their consciousness fields with the field of the mountain and built it up to become even more powerful, potentially into a sentient being that some would call an egregore, or group thought form manifestation. From my experiences at Mount Shasta, I can say the mountain itself does seem to communicate with you, and weird psychic occurrences do seem to happen every time I've visited. Shasta's energy feels amazing, energizing yet grounding, healing, nurturing, and just beautiful. I believe Shasta does have very powerful metaphysical properties, and it truly does feel holy.